Hello there, and welcome to another gameplay and review video. This is another Tonguc Bodur game. It is called Little Brother Jim, which is kind of a different sort of Tonguc Bodur game. It contains the traditional walking simulator type game, and also a sort of top-down RV driving course kind of mini game throughout between each level. So it's neat to check out. So let's get started. Okay, level 1, and you start out driving an RV. You use the WASD keys or the arrow keys. Just make sure that you steer clear of the obstacles. The beginning courses are pretty easy, but they get harder. So to the Jeep. The handbrake is a space bar key. That's the handbrake. Okay, see, that's a dead end. Down here. That was close. Oh. There. Ugh. Make sure you don't knock over the cones. Here it is. Okay. Level 5. Now you gotta collect the tokens. You gotta collect 3 of them. Looks like it's a low poly course. All of the trees and the grass and the flowers are low poly. And then that unlocks the parking. Okay. We need 1 coin. See, now I wanted to show you that you have 3 chances with the RV. If you hit the cone or you hit those exploding barrels. So okay, I guess you can't get on that when it's flashing. Long way. Level 9. Okay, we need 4 points. Boy, that was a mistake. Here it is. Okay. Okay, now we're going to the typical Tonguc Bodur walking simulator style. Because this game contains a little bit of both. Left shift to toggle run, Q to toggle auto move. Dear Paul, I have to tell you something funny about that game I've been playing for the last few days. Here, you have to park these Jeeps in their correct spots, but apparently it's not the player parking the Jeep, it's this funny bear. Isn't that unique? This big brown bear stuffed itself inside the Jeep. Hey, I can't stop laughing. He closes the door and starts driving. The bear drives around, then finds a parking spot. I feel sad about getting stuck at the final level though. Kind of hard to read cursive. Never been good at reading cursive. Remember fireworks night? Surrounding us was a vast blackness. I felt the hard, damp ground beneath my legs. In the sky there were a million bright blinking stars. This was our last night together. After I jokingly asked you a million times when the fireworks would start, they finally did. Then you jokingly tossed the blanket over my head, not realizing that soon you wouldn't be able to see me at all. So this is basically your typical design for Tonguc Bodur. I kind of like the design. Simple nature design. Simple trees. Not too advanced, just like simple ground cover and simple water. First day they brought me home from the hospital. You grimaced and said I was a stinky bumble. But when you thought they weren't looking, you came over to me and smiled. You tickled my toes. Then you stomped away in mock anger. Apparently it took you 1 week to warm up to me. Then you even started changing my diapers. pretty decent music too. This one. To go and play with the kids. One time I was invited for lunch, but didn't know our phone number. I had to run back to our house to ask Mom. She said yes, then I ran back to the neighbors and stood outside their door. I didn't know what to do. They eventually saw me waiting and let me in, then showed me how to knock and use the doorbell. I just begun learning the life. Door. A giant door. Where we stayed at a fancy hotel. Our parents told us to keep it down and not run around. They told us to go on ahead and they'd meet us at the restaurant. So we walked to the elevator by ourselves. Then we pressed every single button. The elevator stopped at all the floors and everyone was mad at us. We were such a pair of menaces. We used to live in a big city, but sometimes we were allowed to visit the local park. When we were really lucky, we'd all get in a car, then drive out to the country. We'd be told to be careful with the barbed wire fence, that it was private property. We'd often heard to head to the national parks, then we ran around all we wanted. One time I hid behind a tree for an hour and gave everyone a heart attack. I'm sure you don't want to read all about kid memories. brother, I just want to jog your brain and so you remember, and even tell you about the things you don't know. I'm sure you know that I love you and always will. I know you loved me. We can't take it for granted. Look at all those other families who don't even speak to each other. When you have your own family, always remember to listen and live and love. Remember Samantha? Probably not. She was in my grade, not yours. I had such a crush on her, but she didn't know I existed. One day at recess, I ran up to her and gave her a kiss. What a look on her face. I realized I shouldn't have done it. I could have been injured. Haha. But later we started hanging out. But the rule was never ever mention the kiss. I still miss Fluffy. I know you and Mom and Dad said Fluffy ran away, but I knew you were lying. I knew he was hit by a car. You were trying to spare my feelings. It's okay. He was 19 years old and lived a good life. If you go into my room, I still have all of his photos and videos on my computer. It's great that I get to see him again. Was that one nice winter day when Mom and Dad drove us into the cold country. We bundled up with coats and mitts and then built a snowman. I was all warmed up, so I donated my scarf to him. We gave him pebble eyes and a twig nose. Then we had a snowball fight. That was the best winter ever, but those snowballs hurt me more than you think when they hit your face. Even the snowman was sorry for me. Obsession with mailboxes? I wondered why we didn't have one at the house. We had a slot in the door where the mailman dumped our mail. Or she left parcels on the doorstep, so Dad made me my own special small mailbox. Wasn't that cool? I expect it's long gone now, but we used to have fun putting letters in there to each other. Do you remember? This is why I've sent mailboxes on your path now. Did you ever wonder why your Lego pieces went missing? That's because I would steal them to complete my own projects. You complain, but I'd just blame the vacuum cleaner or the cat for stealing them. Mom would tell us she'd take it all away if we didn't behave. You never said a word of it to me, even though you'd see my Lego structures set up in my desk. On my desk, it was rather obvious, wasn't it? You kids. 3234, that's the code. You'll see it in a minute. I have to make a confession. When you weren't home, I'd go into your room and snoop around. I knew you were out on call for your job, or you'd be out gaming with your friends late on Sunday night. So I'd sneak out of bed so I didn't disturb our parents. I'd use a flashlight and go into your room. I especially liked looking through your books and going through your desk. 3234. That's how you get into here. Do you wish that Jim would have been the type of brother you would have wanted to hang out with? Yes, he's cool. Okay. Oh. Okay, turn this way. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Okay, you got an extra hit. Good extra life. We drifted a little there, that's nice. There was that one day our parents took us to the lake. We'd no sooner set up the canoe and were out paddling when it started raining. I'd have thought our parents would call us back to shore, but they didn't. It was fine. We had a great time getting wet. Before the canoe overflowed with water, we paddled back to shore, where our mom was waiting with dry towels. Being reckless was fun to us back then. Letters are about us when we were young, but I knew back then that we wouldn't be young forever. It was like I had a premonition or something. If you ever wondered why I joked around so much while you remained the serious one, that's why. Life is short. Might as well enjoy yourself, right? Sent that bully packing in grade 10. He said I was fat. I said, I know that. He said I was pale. I said it was because I drank ale. Everything he said to me, I made a rhyme right back at him and laughed. You were so clever and right. Make a joke of it. Then their comments don't haunt us. They soon stop. When you were hanging out with your big university friends, you didn't want them to know you had a younger brother. So I showed up and you told them I was your Uber driver. At first I was confused, then you winked at me, but I was mad. So after your friends packed up their books and headed for the door, I said to you, Mom wants you to vacuum the house before dinner. The look on your face. You taught me how to ride a bike. We'd often go out bike riding after school, but before we had to help our parents make dinner. One day my bike went missing, probably stolen by that grade 10 bully, but you scoured the neighborhood and brought it back to me, and we never told our parents. I mean, you can now if you want. Remember when I fell out of the tree trying to build a tree fort? You practiced first aid on me. Mom had to take me to the hospital, but the doctor was impressed at how well you wrapped up my arm. Only bruises, fortunately. I expect that's where you got your career idea from, and you called me the smart one. Yesterday morning was the best. We'd get up at like 6 a.m. and go and watch the cartoons. No kids today even get to watch cartoons. They sleep in until 11 a.m. and then get on their smartphones. Looney Tunes and Rocky and Bullwinkle are the best. Reminds me, dig through my DVDs and save those for your kids. We'll watch them again. There are no age limits. I admit it now, there was that girl, Charlene. She called multiple times, but I told her that you were talking to Maria. Boy, was she mad. I tell you, something wasn't right with her. Trust me, I saved you a lifetime of grief with that one. Since I'm not here anymore, stay focused and finish your university. Trust me, you're the one with all the time left in the world. I don't think our parents were supportive of my computer programmer career choice. They felt there was too much competition, and in gaming, no way. They said I'd starve to death before I even found a job. Your brother is going to medical school, so maybe you can go to law school. I just laughed. I was going to do what I was going to do with the time I had left. I want you to know that I'm not perfect, brother. As posted earlier, I went through your things when I was a kid, and I borrowed what I wanted until you got home. I also blamed you for eating all of the pie from the fridge that time. I told Dad you had done it. Not sure what happened after that, but hey, sorry. There was way too many salads for dinner, and I was going by. That time you rescued Squiggles from the university's laboratory. You didn't have time, so I looked after him. I still remember that rat. What a character. When I walked into the room, he'd stand up on 2 feet and wiggle his little nose at me. You even got them to stop testing on animals. That was quite an accomplishment, and I'm proud to be a brother. Driver's license first. Of course, they insisted that I take pro driving lessons too, but I still remember when you flipped out because you thought I was going to trash your Honda Civic because I put my foot on the wrong pedal. Then I quickly righted my foot. I'll bet that bear can drive better than I can. Bailed me out one time. I'd spent all the rent money on a party. Honestly, I just did the math wrong, but you lent me the cash. That was so brotherly of you. We never told our parents. I'd have been embarrassed if you had. I remember they were proud of both of us, so it was a good thing my big brother looked out for me. first year of medical school. That was a 30-hour-a-day adventure, but we still kept in touch through text, email, and Skype. What did siblings do in the past when there was no tech? Call on the phone. That seems so yesteryear. Anyway, when I missed you, I'd head into your bedroom and, you guessed it, snoop through your things. Five 972. That's easy. Five 972. That was an easy code. Knowing what you know now, would you have lived your life differently? Probably number 2. That's what happens if you run into the deer. 26. Oh, sorry about that. Get it back up. Okay. Level 28. Level 29. Oh dear. Okay, that's done. Level 30. Yeah, I went too fast down there. Level 31. Level 32. Okay. When we were young kids, we lived in an apartment building. Then, when we were both in school, our parents bought a house. Our first winter there was spectacular. A fine layer of snow fell to the ground. We almost raced out of the house in t-shirts and slippers, but Mom yelled at us to put our winter gear on. Then we ran outside and built a snowman. It looked more like a bear, but that's okay. We made it together. It was springtime and Dad wanted to clean out the basement. The first step was to carry everything up the 4 small steps to the yard. Dump it there, then go through it all later. Wow, you were so strong carrying your load. I had trouble carrying things, so got relegated to carrying the small boxes and stuff. Finally, it was all out. Dad sure tossed out a lot of stuff that day. After the yard cleaning, we had this big garage sale. I was so tired from cleaning out the basement I could barely move. I took the money that people handed to me. I hope I counted properly, because by the end of the day I didn't care anymore. Still, we raked in a lot of cash. Do you know what our parents did with it? Probably paid my medical bills. Let's see. Now where do I go next? Oh, must be over here. Yeah, over here. I can't quite recall, but I think the first film we ever saw in a movie theater was Spider-Man. It was terrible, not as good as the modern Spider-Man films today. Still, it was exciting getting pop to drink that we normally weren't allowed to drink, and a big bag of popcorn to crunch on throughout the film. I accidentally dropped my bag and it spilled all over the place. I remember when you weren't so perfect yourself. You decided to collect dead bugs, remember? You'd make these elaborate settings and put them into display cases, along with the name of the species. Mom found them and screamed. Haha, boy, did she scream. Did she sum you out for bringing dirty bacterial things into the house? Dad had to moderate, and the resolution was to let you keep the bug displays at the back of the storage shed, where they likely are still to today. Sometimes I can't read cursive that well. D, you know. I enjoyed collecting things too. I collected Lego, as you know, and I'm sure that you were missing plenty of it. I didn't even do anything with the half of it. After I was gone, I'm sure that Dad found about 10 plastic containers of it made under my bed or in the closet. I hope you donated it to charity or something. I'm sure some kid somewhere would love it. Some might even be worth something. was finding a way to stay at home from school, get pampered by mom and dad, or depending on who was off work that day, get lots of hot soup and hot cocoa. I didn't even have time to get dressed. I didn't even have to get dressed, and we were quarantined from each other, so we didn't pass our germs around. It was kind of a mandatory resentment period. Looking house. Remember when Dad taught Fluffy tricks? Who said you can't teach a cat tricks? We'd go out into the yard and he'd run around in the green grass. Then we'd call him to come, and he would. He'd play fetch with his fake bone toy. We had him do sit, stay, jump up, lie down. What a cat. We adopted him as a kitten, and he sure lived a long time for a cat. That brook behind the house, kind of like a river, but much smaller. In the summer, it would dry out. In the spring or fall, if you listened hard enough, you could hear the sounds of the water slowly dribbling over pebbles and stones. Sometimes there was even a fish or a frog in there. It was refreshing to take off socks and shoes and stick one's feet in there. That's it. I wish I could have donated blood too, honestly. If I could right now, I would, to make up for what all the amazing blood donors did for me. It brings a tear to my eyes thinking about it. was fine playing football on the computer, but you put all of that aside after you decided you wanted to go to medical school. You know, one day you'll have your own clinic. Perhaps you can start your own team and invite all the medical staff to join in or something. Probably just a dumb idea, never mind. I remember Mom and Dad arguing about something. Was it about me? They'd locked themselves in the bedroom and were yelling. Normally they didn't fight. There was no point in arguing, as there was nothing they could have done. There, I said it. Seriously, don't blame yourself. This is life. We make of it what we can. Personally, I'm happy with how things turned out. You should know I'm in a better place. Remember that time I collapsed at school? The teacher made a big fuss and the ambulance came. The students surrounded me. You were called out of class to join me. They called our parents, who met us at the hospital. This was the first ride in an ambulance. So cool. I'll bet you get tired of seeing lots of ambulances at the hospital where you work now. Okay. Gotta find the writing. $8016. Okay. 8016. Okay, that unlocked it. Do you feel comfort in reading letters from your brother, or should he not have bothered sending them? Yes, and I've learned a lot more about my brother and myself. Okay, level 34. Level 37. Invisibility square. Just looking at all the low poly plants, like the trees and flowers and stuff. It's all low poly. Level 40 completed. Level 42. I think we only got a couple levels left to go. I think there's only like 44. Level 43. set of memories. So let's go back to lighthearted letters, okay? These days I imagine your daily life as you're at home after a long shift at the hospital. You wash up, then toss a fast food meal into the microwave. You may feel lonely as there is no time for relationships when you're an intern. That's why you love spending 16-hour days at the hospital so you can connect with people. If I could see my parents again, I would. We had a great set, didn't we? Wow, you hear all the stories. But we got a good lot. Haha, sometimes we get mad when they wouldn't let us climb that tree anymore, or allow us to get our learner's permit when it changed to age 15, or not allow us to eat the whole cake in one sitting, but they taught us right from wrong, like every generation does to the next. I loved school up until grade 10, then grade 11 and 12. I think I heard that boy is now a flight attendant. How ironic. Now he must put a smile on his face and without complaint. And withstand complaints from others. Anyway, we had some great teachers over the years. Remember Mr. Warcola, I think, and Miss Brownstone. They were so supportive. And that extra time when we didn't understand stuff, they didn't have to do that. Throughout the years, the ones in the apartment building, the neighbors, and at school. I hope you look up some of the old bunch and let them know what happened to me. Maybe we connect. I'll bet you have nothing in common, but at least you'll have something to talk about, right? Talk about me. Look for my address book. You'll find all the contacts you need in there. Side of the continent. I remember only 2 trips to the west coast, and maybe a half dozen relatives visited us over the years. I still remember your grandparents, or our grandparents, excuse me. I'm glad I had a close immediate family as we never saw anyone else. Anyway, I'll bet you saw them all last month, right? A big family reunion. I wish I had been there. We had a lot of pets over the years, dogs, cats, rats, and rabbits, but I'll always remember Fluffy the best. He was so big and fluffy and acted more like a dog than any dog I've ever known. He used to sleep on my bed at night, even though Dad said he shouldn't be there, as my asthma would act up, but then I'd secretly open the door in the middle of the night and he would come. Ask me which memory I'd like to live again, I'd say the first winter in the new house, the one when we built a snowman, and the craziest was canoeing under rain. Communing with nature has always been my favorite. Now that I think what makes the world so beautiful is the wealth of the nature. I could never learn how to approach ones like Charlie. I guess they get eliminated by unnatural selection. In fact, sooner or later you'll see that everyone has a match. The deal is to find the one. I hope that Charlene has. Imagination leads to such comedies. A huge bear has got into the Jeep and is seriously driving it, parking and stuff, but the real comedy in the fact of how short life is and that the people ignore it or don't even notice. And where I am now, everyone boggles at it. Secret, but keep it well from here. We also see the future of the living. Some of us can't even interfere with it. We've been granted a wonderful life, a very long life full of health and peace is upon me. I hope you get the most out of it. I can't say much for the world. Everyone is in a different place. What works here won't work there. Basically, mind your own business. Change what you can. Fight for what you can. Don't fight if it's not worth fighting for. Rinse and repeat. Don't read the news. Turn off your devices, particularly when you're with loved ones. And this is coming from a computer programmer. And vote, that's a big one. Sometimes it's been fabulous, sometimes frustrating, sometimes painful like when Susie turned me down for prom night. I'm also happy and proud to have lived my life. And look at this cool game I made. I'll bet you couldn't have done that. Just kidding, you can if you set your mind to it. Look at me, I'm now where I can't park the Jeep anymore. Live in the present and plan for the future. Look forward to the future. Remember what I said in the past letter. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. If you have a faith, practice it. Be kind to people. My brother Paul. Now if you don't mind, Fluffy wants some treats, so I'm going to go find his treat bag. Jim, the stinky bundle, and the pill.
It was cool to have Jim. Not everyone has the opportunity to have a brother, or even a wonderful brother. For just a while, I've been respected and loved by a wonderful young man. It's definitely cool not only having a good brother, but one who watches out for you, turns an eye when you go wrong, and believes that small moments are precious for memories. I am truly the stronger person because I know I can't change destiny. I'm the person who doesn't place blame at the hands of others. I've accepted my life and my choices. My type of people are also happier. They take information with a grain of sand. If it's pertinent to them, great. If not, they move on. Perhaps I believe some greater force controls my life. Those letters are a treasure to own. I may have letters from when Jim was alive, but these letters have revealed more information to me about his life and our lives together. I'm so glad he took the time to create those mailboxes and stuff them with his new letters.
Level 45. Looks like we got some levels to go. Oops, sorry. Okay, that was Little Brother Jim, a game by Tonguc Bodur. As you know, I'm a big fan of Tonguc Bodur and walking simulators in general. He makes very good ones, and he's continuing to make new games. I just did a review on the Tree of Alden or whatever it's called. And there's a couple of others that I also bought that I'm going to be reviewing soon. He makes at least 1 or 2 games a year, sometimes more. But I hope you enjoyed that. It's a pretty neat little game. All of his games are. His games are more of a relaxing games. He's made a couple horror games as well, which I will be reviewing soon. But this one and many others are like slice of life kind of games, more emotional games. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and watch the rest of my videos and the rest of my Tonguc Bodur reviews. And there'll be many more to come. I want to review every single one of his games. So, thank you for watching.